episode of the Total R&B Podcast. My name is Loreena, and today I am joined by SMK, which is known as Soul Movement Krew. They are an R&B duo that's built on the foundation of brotherhood, soul, and authentic storytelling. So welcome to the podcast, On-Key and Curt Quinn. Welcome, guys.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Happy to
Thank
be
you
here.
for taking time out of your day to speak with me. I really do appreciate you guys being here.
Likewise.
I'm lost for words. I was trying to say the feeling is mutual. There it is.
Come
Feeling
on.
is mutual.
You
Come on.
got it. So I always start my podcast off the same way whenever I have a first-time guest, and that is what comes to mind when I say, what is your first memory of R&B music? Anki, you could go first.
Ooh. My first memory is, well, I always like to say Boyz II Men, Brian McKnight. You know what I'm saying? Like I just remember buying the first Boyz II Men album, the tape in the record store, begging my moms to buy it, We went to the record store for something else, but I saw that tape and I was like, Mommy, I want this. Mommy, I want this. And she bought me that Boyz II Men first album, man. And yeah, I say Boyz II Men, Brian McKnight. That's like my first key memory,
Love that.
Yes. All right. I guess my first memory of being a participant in R&B would be like in elementary school. Me and my friends got together. We wanted to do the talent show, so we wanted to sing "Boyz II Men, I Thank You."
Oh,
We
okay.
was in there like doing little steps and everything. You know what I mean? That was like 90. I don't know. It was a long time ago. 96, 95.
And how did that go? How was the reaction from that performance?
Oh man, you know what? We bombed. I'm sure we bombed because we was like little kids trying to sing Mike's deep parts, talking to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was cool. It was a good experience, and it probably started me on this path.
Okay, but that's amazing though. That's something I feel that we're missing too, is those talent shows. That spark that creativity for groups to get together or soloists, to showcase their talent and really have that foundation that's there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Talent shows
So,
crazy.
Yeah. And so for you, Anki, how did you start singing? Like where did that start for you?
For me, it started in the Sunshine Band at church. Started at a very young age, like 5 years old. Started singing in Sunshine Band. By the time I turned around 7 to 8, I got in the district Sunshine Band, and that's kind of like out here, like in the West Coast. That's where you kind of travel up and down the West Coast, and you combine other Sunshine Bands from other churches. And I was doing that. I did that for a few years too. So I would say for me, it started Sunshine Band, and then I made my way to the adult choir, and then high school choir, and then into artistry from there after high school, for sure.
No, that's so great because we don't always hear that anymore. Like people that have been raised in the church, like in choir, and then moving up the ranks. We don't hear those stories anymore. I feel like those stories were really like, you heard it a lot in like the 90s with like the big singers like Whitney Houston.
Yep.
But you don't hear that anymore. So that's dope.
Right.
Yeah.
And we all choir kids eventually. Similar story. Just in New Orleans, I was in the choir. I had a big cousin named Xavier. Shout out to Xavier. So my big cousin was the biggest vocalist in the choir. So I always had like this target. I'm like, after church, I'm like in the fellowship hall trying to challenge my cousin. We're singing John P. Key songs. You know what I mean? That was like my biggest motivation. And that was like the little kid stuff. Then made my way into little groups in elementary and in high school in New Orleans. I ended up in Virginia. My folks were military. And that's where it kind of got real for me. I had a dope teacher that saw something in me. He put me in Music Theory 1, Music Theory 2. I was the section leader in choir. And then I was on the Mel Ensemble, the traveling joint. Then I went all district choir. I got involved with this record label and like, for me, everything kind of happened at one time where I felt like it took me leaving New Orleans, where people knew me as a singer in a group, to going and start moving around. I saw like, oh, it's not just my dope dancing homies or my homies who could sing the harmonies. It was something I had to, and that's what gave me the confidence to really know it was, something for me.
Amazing. So then both of you guys having that background in choirs and, talent shows, doing all that, how did you two connect?
You want to tell them, Quinn?
But
Okay.
It don't matter to me.
Okay.
Right.
The year was 2009. We started I started a tour called Soul Movement out here in San Diego. And, I had to find and this is during the MySpace days. So I found a bunch of artists through MySpace, just searching San Diego R&B, and I found just a whole list of R&B artists, and I just started hitting everybody individually, and then I had meetings, and then I told them about the tour that I wanted to do, and everybody was down. Sarita, which is my brother Curt Quinn's wife, I kind of previously met during the high school days, and she happened to be in this group called Essence, and Essence was part of the Soul Movement tour. So I remember the first meeting, she was like, "You got to meet my husband. You got to meet my husband, Kurt. He do music. Boom, boom. He probably want to do this." I'm like, "Okay, all right, cool." So we did the first show, and the first show was super jumping. Like it was so packed in there, and man, I just remember it like it was yesterday. But after the show is when I met Kurt. Kurt stepped to me and was like, "Yo, brother, I love the show. I'd love to be a part of this." And I said, "What's your MySpace?" He gave me his MySpace. And then the next day, I was at home searching his stuff, and I came across a song called Maury Show, and he had another song called Killing Him. And it was two opposite, it was two different artists, you know what I'm saying? Listening to the songs, and I just was impressed by the way he writes his songs. You know what I mean? The way he puts some thoughts on pen and pad. And from then on, I called him and was like, "Look, we got the next show. Everybody already got it set. The show is already set. But what I'll do is I'll give up some of my time on the stage so you can rock." You know
Right.
what I mean? And I didn't even really know him. I didn't even really know him, and
from a can of paint.
Crazy. And yeah, that was the introduction right there.
So let me give you my side of it.
Okay.
Because I love that angle. So I recently I moved to San Diego. My folks been in the Navy. I got to San Diego. I was in Hawaii before that in college. Got to San Diego, met my wife. My wife singing all that good stuff. I'm working at this studio called Mad Records, and my guy Chauncey was telling me about these shows that were going on in the city, and I'm hitting him like, "Oh, I still don't know everybody. I ain't a part of the West Coast clique. You heard me. I'm totally different. So I'm just trying to touch base with people and see what's going on." Didn't really get no info out of Chauncey. Then I hollered at my boy and all the artists that was in the studio, because they ain't really know me as an artist. I'm in there as the basically the studio manager. I'm picking up rent. I'm doing administrative work. And my wife and her sister Ab, they was like, "Yo, let me put you on to this guy On-Key. He's nice, and he's doing the tour." I went and checked out Key's music. I'm like, "Who is this baby face McKnight to men?" His stuff was crazy. And so boom, we go to the show. I go to the first show. My wife, I'm there as support. My wife is performing. Some of the dudes from the studio is performing. And I'm watching this, and it's packed wall to wall. They got people in the top doing art. They got all these artists on stage, and the concept of the soul movement as a thing was like, hey, if you've been out here long enough, you probably didn't opened up for a million rappers, and we don't have a place, or we don't have a community to say, hey man, this is where like the recording artists, people who are like writing music, going to the studio, not just the band heads, but something specific for recording artists. We didn't have that. And this dude was so cool. He said he heard my music, like, yo man, I'm gonna share my set with you because I have no more space, but I would love for you to rock. And we've been cool ever since. Because who does that?
Right? But I think sometimes too, that's like the beauty of like the music industry. Like you kind of find your people through the music that you're doing. And shout out to the wife for making that connection, because that's amazing.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love it. And so you started this tour, the Soul Movement Tour, and now you guys are the Soul Movement Krew.
Right.
So you were talking a little bit about the name, like the significance of the environment that On-Key created. But now that you two are together and you guys are building something, like what does it mean today, Soul Movement Krew?
You wanna lead that one, Quinn?
I feel like when we say Soul Movement Krew, we just waving the flag. It's like for us, it's a bit of nostalgia. We're representing for everybody who was in this independent grind with us. You know, the biggest hope for me, I can't say for you, kid, but being in like 2009, day one, we performed from San Diego to LA. We was kind of moving around for a year. You know, that was formative. You know, we was performing 3 times a week. So we learned a lot and built a lot. And I feel like that time frame and that growth reflects a lot of the artists that we ran across in that time frame. So we just waving the flag like, hey man, we still moving. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, because so the Soul Movement tour gave birth to the Soul Movement Krew. So like originally it was just a plan just to tour with like just R&B artists, and we kept the same group of artists on each show tour date. But at the end, it kind of turned into this crew thing, you know what I mean? And so the Soul Movement Krew is kind of named after the Basement Crew. You know, if anybody, all my R&B heads know, like the Basement Crew is, you know, consists of like Timberland, Aaliyah, um, who else? Tweet, who was in a group called Sugar at the time, um, and Missy's,
Genuine.
yep, Genuine, yep, Player, you know what I mean? You know, hosted by Devontae from Jodeci. So
yeah,
we definitely was big fans of that, and then we looked at it like that was like one of the R&B crews in the you know in the R&B industry. So we kind of named ourselves after that, you know what I mean, and tied us into that group, you know.
right.
So yeah, Soul Movement Krew is it came from the tour. It definitely was birthed from the tour.
No, that's amazing, because to take something, just an idea that you have, and then make it into a reality, and then for it to be as successful, like having all those people there joining in and doing a whole tour is not easy. So congratulations to
Uh,
you for creating that and creating that
Thank you,
movement. That's amazing.
thank you.
So I do want to know too, because this unions created the Univer-Soul, sorry, um, LP that dropped in 2016. So what was like the creative vision behind that project?
Okay.
Go ahead, Quinn.
I'll start there. So initially we were just writing because the whole time we were rocking together, becoming friends and doing all these tour dates and just doing performing together, we just was fans of each other's music. Like everybody had a moment on stage where we saw how everybody was special. So it helped us like, hey man, Key gonna give you this. the essence, the girl's gonna give you this. Kurt got his own thing. So we were just fans, and we never even came to each other's sessions or was a part of each other's creative process. And
Mm,
the first thing was, hey man, let's get everybody on. We did all these shows together. Let's work on doing some music together. We was hitting everybody up, and the ones who actually came through was me and Key. So we said, okay, let's just write some songs. You dig? And we start writing songs. We were like, could we sell the songs? Well, let's perform the songs. And it kind of slowly turned into, us coming together and putting together like a body of work.
yeah.
And so, what is the process of to doing songwriting together? Because obviously, you guys done stuff on your own, but then working with someone is a little different. So,
Mm-hmm.
how was that process for songwriting?
I defer to
Actually,
you on this one.
you know what? That's a real good question because prior to like working with Kurt, like we was just we were so solo that where like when I wrote my songs, I only wrote my songs. I didn't really have collaborating like writers in the room whenever I sat down and wrote anything. But once I got with Quinn and we started writing songs together, I started understanding how because I already looked at how he writes and it just already had me like it already had me attached to him in that way. I was curious to how he sits down and writes so detailed, you know what I mean? And so like when we wrote together, like we stayed out of each other's way. Like he comes up with a thought and he shares the thought and then I just back him up. Hey, whatever you do, I'm gonna copy exactly what you did. I'm a recreate what you did, but I'm a copy exactly what you did, you know? Um, that's the
It's
best way to describe it,
it's
you know?
powerful, but it's like I had to realize how special it was because to be able to defer to other people's talent, not step on their toes, and be a part of but not take over is it's a different balance, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
because everybody don't work together the same way. You got some people that are very domineering and like, yo, I got it. I just fill in the spots that I leave you. Some people are very collaborative where I got a thought, you got a thought, we have a thought. And then like with me and Key, that's interesting is almost like whoever comes up with the idea first will add to the idea. Like we'll try to jump on it and put us
that's
in it.
it. That's
I
it
mean,
right there.
some folks take an idea and they feel like, oh, I got to add something completely different to give it balance. You know what I'm saying? And that's a different way. But I feel like we know how to. If I'm gonna write detail and he could hear what I'm doing, he'll jump on what I'm doing. Or Key is like the melody king. He he, he don't need structure. Like he can use his vocals as a way to complement the beat to add something that's not there and fill in space. When I am more of a pocket, I'm like, oh, ba 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 ba. I'm like a drummer where I hear the pocket and I'm doing that type
Yep,
of stuff.
yep.
And keep more like a horn where he'll fill in space melodically and then complement it with harmonies. Completely different kind of thing. So you know what I'm saying? It's interesting when we get together because we try to complement each other.
No,
And
I think
also,
that's important. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's crazy because like the way he'll write sometimes, like I learned a lot from him. You know what I mean? Writing with him, I learned different things that where it can help the way that I write. Um, it complements it. Once I saw how he does things, it was like, okay, oh, so you write that down and then oh, that's how you do that? Dang, I don't even do that. Maybe I should start doing that. Like, we both was kind of doing that with each other. Um, yeah, the way I
Heck
pick a
yeah.
melody and then the way he stays on his beats, his patterns. You know what I mean? Like I never really thought like that. You know what I mean? I just kind of like went with whatever I felt at the moment, but he made me think about, okay, why are you doing that pattern and keeping in that timing? You know what I mean? So we learn from each other, definitely, right? Working together. For sure.
No, I like I said, I love that because you guys took the time to learn what each other's strengths are and use that to create an amazing body of music, which is really important. Because I just finished watching on Netflix Hitmakers, which is a series about like songwriters in the industry, and you know they're doing the songwriter camps and they're put into rooms with different people each time, and they got to learn how to create a hit song each time. And you see how some personalities aren't gelling, but they got to make it work in order to get the job done. So it was really interesting to see. And so hearing from you two that, you know, didn't know each other, but then got into the recording studio and made a whole LP, you know, and learning each other, it's just super, super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to add that prior to that, we never was in each other's studio sessions ever.
Right.
So like
That,
even when I recorded my own records, like I knew Kurt, but Kurt was never in the studio with me. So it was like when we sat down to write for the first time, it was us working together and we learned everything about how we do things as an artist when we sat down to write with each other. It's crazy.
I think what helped that is we come from the same place musically. So when we talked about like our influences, like, oh, you listen to John P. Key? Boy. Oh, you listen to, oh, you a Boyz II Men head? What you think about this? Like, once we realized that the types of things that made us artists were the same, it's easy. It was like easier to pick up. Like, oh, you doing that? I know what you're doing. Wow, let me jump on that. Oh, you moving like that? I don't even move like that, but I know what that is. It's easier to kind of get out of your comfort zone because you recognize it.
And so now, what about when we're talking about the soul movement season? So how, like, I know you guys learned from each other, you guys grew, learning from the other person, but how much have you two grown creating this body of work now than previously?
Well, I
Mm,
think you hear it a lot. I think you hear it a lot. One thing I will say is that with the Soul Movement season, um, it got back to the original idea. The original idea was having the other tour members and just we wanted to be more feature heavy because a crew is, you know, I do me, I do you, but together we represent the same thing. So we are a crew in every sense of the word. But we always wanted to get uh, that crowd participation from the other artists that made the soul movement a thing, and we was able to get Chauncey on the album. So
right.
shout out to Chauncey, Chauncey
Wait,
Maynard.
wait, wait, wait. Yes, because that was one of my questions because I keep
Mm.
seeing him popping up. I
Right.
see music from this person. I'm like, who is Chauncey?
Chauncey, music making Maynard, one of the coldest. He was on a tour back in the Gap, but he also in the middle of it he ended up moving to LA and then coming back down. So Chauncey was on his journey, and again, it's all rooted in like mutual fandom. So we was able to get him on the album, and he come from the cloth of it. It was dope. So you get a different dynamic, right? You get a little bit of a different dynamic because now you're adding another songwriter. I love these songs. I think the things that we were able to create together, you know, was a beautiful thing. It's almost like the Avengers assembling, you know what I mean, in my mind.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so you'll hear the growth. You'll hear maybe a little bit more direction on this because this had a little bit more of an intent than the first one. The first one was Univer-Soul because we wanted to make an R&B record for everything we was hearing. We wanted to make sure people understood the how universal R&B music was. Not just ballads, not just club records, not just emotional records, but there's a little bit of everything that encompasses R&B, and we wanted Univer-Soul to. Now, Univer-Soul seasons are Soul Movement season. We just felt like it was our time. It's our season. You know what I mean? We've been putting in time, individual albums. We got the homie over here. I'm finally working in engineering. We just felt like, and we still feel like that this is the season of R&B, and it's a good time for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. You summed it up. You summed it up. summed it up.
Definitely. And I like that you said Avengers, like you guys are coming together because both of you also have solo work that is out there that we can go ahead and support. Anki, I'll start with you. You have the Moving EP that's out now. So tell
Mm-hmm.
us a bit about that as well, because there's also one of the songs that I saw that Timberland got to listen to that he was really feeling as well.
Yeah. Um, the moving EP. So during the pandemic, um, I wrote all of these songs around like the same period of time. I think just being in the house and being kind of in one place made me think a total different way. So um, I called it moving because I felt like my creativity was moving in a direction of like trying to be catchy. That's where my mind was at. So the song you're talking about is it's called Special Day, which is that's the first song I wrote for this project. And so the thought with that song, I was thinking it's funny because I was thinking of like writing something that matched the pandemic, right? What I mean by that is matching the mindset that folks was in when we were in the pandemic, right? So that was my original plan. Then I started listening to different production as I was thinking of this concept. So I'm like, what am I gonna write this concept to? So I'm listening to different tracks, different production, and I come across that. And I'm listening to it, I'm like, this is not what I'm looking for. But as I'm listening to it, I'm like, I like it. So I'm gonna save this. But as I went to save it, the melodics of the song came to me, and I said, dang, this feel good. Why does this feel so good right now? It's like the opposite of what I was thinking to write, you know? And it felt so good that I started writing it right then and there. And yeah, that song took a took a run of its own, you know. After releasing it and then after shooting a music video, the whole journey in that, and then, you know, to turn around now this year, you know, to be able to play it for somebody like Timbaland is super dope in itself. And yeah, yeah, Special Day is like one of my um I would say it's my second most streamed song, but it's one of my fan favorite songs, you know, so people kind of run to me about that song all the time.
No, it's definitely like such a like a good summer vibe. It's such a like a good record. Like you just want to dance to the record.
Right.
It is when listening to the whole like project, it is one of my favorite songs on there. So yeah,
Mm,
there is something really like special to that song that's making people gravitate towards it. And also too, I think it's something that we're also missing is like a up tempo song in R&B. We don't have a lot of those. Everybody is on this like chill vibe. They're very like
yeah.
softly singing and it's just kind of like one tone, but I
Mm,
think this is something that we're really missing. So I enjoyed discovering this song. Definitely
thank
adding to a playlist.
you, thank you.
But we also cannot forget we have the Mighty Quinn that came
Mm,
out also.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Um, you know, Mighty Quinn. That project came from necessity. Um, I moved in between us working on a few things. I moved from San Diego to LA, where I am now, and I always feel that pressure of being a new guy, being somewhere. So you got to build and network with folks, and LA is a different kind of animal. So the pandemic hit, boom. Me and Key, Chauncey, my man O Notes, we having our little powwow. We're talking about what we need to do because we can't go to the studio. So all of us said, well, let's go get some Apollos. Let's get our home studios together, and we're gonna turn into engineers, right? Best thing that ever happened. All the anxiety of waiting on people for studio time, waiting on produce, all the waiting on someone else to be an artist, because that's what happens if you're not like independent. You're gonna wait. Are you either you're gonna wait, You're gonna be somebody's favorite, or you're gonna spend a bunch of money to even get
Yeah.
started to say not just I sang, but here's one of my songs. You know what I mean? So there's a big investment in during the pandemic. Is where I did my most of my growth. I got in, like I felt like Kanye West in a dungeon working, making beats. I was in here perfecting my engineering skills, and the Mighty Quinn came out of that. You know what I mean? Because it came from a challenge. You feel me? On the other side of the challenge, you feel the victory. You feel, you're mighty. You feel like a little superhero. When I was a kid, I like Mighty Mouse. You know what I'm saying? So, and there was a movie by Denzel Washington in Jamaica called The Mighty Quinn that I kept running across, which was hilarious because he had a horrible Jamaican accent. But definitely was where I kind of got a chance to do a little bit more discovery, a little bit more developing. I realized that I'm a hybrid between you have your soul singer and your MC. That combination doesn't really exist outside of Lauryn Hill, Anderson .Paak, maybe maybe Fonte from Lil Brother. There's a few, but only like I can only name a few people who are like soul singers and MCs.
Right.
There's people who sing rap. Then there's the pop rap, like the Drake thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's dope. Or even Tory Lanez, he who shall not be named. um, Tory, you got people who have dual skill sets, but not a lot of people that way. And in this process of me creating and being in this experimental space, I was able to discover, oh, I'm more like the soul singing MC combination fits me the best. That's where I kind of stand.
Mm,
And you hear it on the project. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Definitely. And it's so crazy because it was a crazy time for everybody. It was, for some it was devastating. It was really sad. There was a lot of emotions that happened, but also on the other side too, I think a lot of beautiful things came from that time. So I think a lot of people started to discover their creativity and their growth in the different avenues that they were in, and things came about. So even like this podcast came about during the pandemic too. So
Mm.
something I never thought I would do, but this started during that time. So that's amazing. I want to talk about your platform also because you guys also have a YouTube page that I do want to talk about, Vibes and Convos. So
Oh.
let us know about the Vibes and Convos. Like, how did you guys come up with this? Like, what are you guys giving on this channel? And also let us know so that we could follow too and support.
Vibes and Combo, just like you said, was created during the pandemic. So like around us creating these projects, like me working on Moving, Curt Quinn working on the Mighty Quinn, and we was all learning how to engineer, and we're just doing all of these things. Soul Movement Season project came a little bit after that. Um, I started I started the show Vibes and Combo kind of by accident. Um, I just happened to be just live on Instagram one day, and a buddy of mine happened to join a live. I just brought him in a live, and he happened to be in his room looking directly at a TV, watching he's watching music videos. So he kind of had his phone turned towards the TV, and we were watching just like random videos. Like it was Ludacris, it was Outkast. We're just talking about it while he's watching it. We're just having like our regular conversation that we would have if we wasn't even on, Instagram. And I just noticed that like a couple of people stayed in tune the whole time. We kept them there. So I told him, I said, look, hey, let's do that again, man. Let's do that again. Tomorrow let's go live again. I like the reaction we was getting. So of course he didn't do it again, but I went live again, and I kind of tried to mimic what me and him did by playing music in the background, and but yeah, so that original idea from that turned into, when you fast forward to now, to actual podcast and us interviewing guests such as yourself, you know what I mean? Like just like you're doing here. Um, and just an R&B podcast, and we never thought we was gonna get, some of the guests that we didn't got, but from the original thought, but yeah, that gave birth to it, and that's where we at now is interviewing. We do music reviews, we do um album reviews, we do performance breakdowns, you
Yeah.
know. We just all nerd stuff, all all nerd stuff.
I want to give a
Go
shout
ahead,
out
man.
to Big Bro Woody from Drew Hill,
Ooh, come on.
because yo, when we was so I wasn't a part of this originally. Like again, same way like the Soul Movement stuff. I'm just chilling in the back. I'm being a supporter because I also I'm an excellent fan. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a main character syndrome. I can be an excellent fan. So he hits me to come on so we could chop stories, talk about this R&B nerd talk, get into the technical stuff of music. And you know, in the course of this, we started attracting different kind of people. Now I'm a fan of Drew Hill. Drew Hill is like my like the first song that I ever sung to audition for something was a Drew Hill song.
Okay.
Like that.
Which
So
one?
it was off of the first album, a song called All Alone. Uh
Okay.
Mm,
I don't know. It's a deep cut. I don't know if y'all know that. But, you know, I was one of them guys. So and then to fast forward, I'm sitting up here having a conversation with Woody. I'm like, what in the hell? So, just those moments, man. Vibes and Convo has been pretty amazing. I want to say shout out to Timbo. Sequel to the homie. He's
my
one of the
God.
other, yeah, for Vibes and Convo. But we've had a really good journey since the pandemic. Talked to people that we never thought we would be able to talk to, and realize like everybody is the same. Everybody is just like you, especially if they really love this thing. They just big nerds. They choir kids, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's
for
dope.
sure.
That's what I was saying before we started recording the podcast. Like, I think it's so important to have platforms that kind of talk about R&B music, talk about, the technical stuff, the trendy stuff, like reviews and everything, because a lot of our music and our history is not documented. It's kind of like it was what it was, and then nobody talks about it anymore. It's not on TV anymore. There's no documentaries about it at all. So it's like it gets lost. So I think what, stuff that you guys are doing is really important, because now everybody could go on YouTube and they can see those things. And if they're not familiar, that's like a starting point, and then they can research and dive into like a rabbit hole or whatever. But it's giving that information, that history too. So I think
Yeah.
that is it's a great thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what are your goals with Vibes and Convos, and is there somebody that you would love to have on the channel to interview?
Ooh, okay, so I'll answer the goals. The goals, we definitely wanted to, we would love to do, we actually would love to do more collaborations, you know, um, with other platforms too, especially the ones that do R&B, because I think I always believe in like there's power in numbers, so there's certain things that one platform may provide that the other doesn't, but they can complement each other, and both parties can grow that way. That's one of the goals. I think the other goal is to, we're also looking for sponsorship. You know, we're looking for, you know, a sponsorship, any networks. We're looking for all of those things um, as we continue this journey. And then as far as who we will want to interview, I don't know. We definitely the big bros on there, Drew Hill. I'm gonna put this out there right now. The big bros, Drew Hill. We would love to have them on the show. Shout out to big bro Smokey Diggler. You know, you see this big bro. We definitely want y'all on there. And also, I would love to interview a Jermaine Dupri.
Hmm.
Oh,
You know,
snap.
for sure, for sure. Uh,
Okay,
who you got, Quinn? Who you got?
Eric Roberson,
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's a good one.
Eero. I want to interview Eero. Um, I saw him perform at the Anthology in San Diego. He signed my little CD, and his performance did something for me. And I said, "Dang, he seemed like the same kind of people." But I don't know. I'm into like I said, my favorite song was All Alone, an album cut on the Drew Hill album. So I'm that kind of person. I'm not a surface level person. I think Eric Roberson would be somebody that I would love to talk to kind of pick his brain. You know what I'm saying?
Hero.
No, I love
Yeah.
that. And I feel like Drew Hill is so underrated when it comes to the talk of like R&B groups. A lot of people don't always mention them, and it's crazy because they're truly amazing. Their body of work is amazing. And then you have Cisco, who is like doing one hand cartwheels and flips into frame
Right.
still till this age. And it's
Still could
crazy.
do
Like
it.
I was literally listening to them yesterday. I just sometimes I go on like the DSPs and I just look up the group or whatever and I just
Mhm.
press play and just let it go. And yeah, they need to be spoken about more. There I think there needs to be more focus on them and more material out there about them and their rise to fame and how, everyone played a part in the group. And I think it doesn't get a lot of shine. And same thing with Eric too. Like we don't talk about him. He's not mentioned
Right. And
Right.
all
he's
the time. So
if I
I'm hoping you guys get these interviews because I think it would be super dope to get that out there. And because you guys do focus on R&B, I think it would be great. Jermaine Dupri also because I love Jermaine. That would be amazing.
right.
They're gonna put that out there.
We
So yeah.
receive it. We receive it. It's possible. You never
Yeah,
know.
no, I'm gonna see it on I'm gonna go subscribe to the channel and I'm gonna get a notification one day and it's gonna be for these interviews. That's what's
Come
gonna
on.
happen.
Come on.
Love that. And I also want to talk about you guys being independent artists. You use the platform Even
Mhm.
for one of your projects. So um, I find it just so interesting, people that are taking that on, because it's not easy being independent, right? So if you want to
At
talk
all.
about even the platform Even, if you could talk about that, like how that works and how that has helped you guys.
Go ahead, Quinn.
Okay. Yeah. So being an independent artist, you have to be an economist. You have to you have to look at it like a business. And when you're looking at things through a business lens, you start looking at what are going to be the most advantageous things for my business, right? We are in this weird, interesting area or this era where music is, I want to say it's devalued just because systematically it's devalued because of the way streaming is. If you come from another era where people bought music, this is an interesting time, right? So I like Even because Even brings you back to that relationship where people can actually own your music. Um, it's not a like anything, it's something that you have to promote. You have to let people know it's there. You still have to do all the steps, but I think it's more of a value for the independent artist that's trying to do more of fan building. Because if you bought a project on Even, what you share is your information, right? So you share your information that way. The next project, hey, this is what's going on. Or if I'm in your town and I'm doing a show, I can start more or less communicating with each individual person. And you don't need a million people, but let's say you got a few hundred folks that that you can invite and that will support and that find value.
Mm.
Then it's a different kind of thing. So if you ever sit at like a fly on the wall and listen to our conversations, everything is about value. How can we position ourselves for value? How can we uh, be a need for something? How can we be of value to and Even helps us position our music as more of a value add than a passive listen on maybe a Spotify.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Um,
Which Oh, sorry, go.
yeah, to piggyback what he was saying, yeah, the word value it goes a long way. When you start talking about merch, you start talking about music, especially we could circle music, because now it's because the music is so easily accessible. When we start talking about all the digital platforms, so when you mention even, it kind of isolates you a little bit from the other platforms that may be more popular, right? Um, but um, it allows us to um, create promo, create ads, and things like that to drive them to get to our program, to be in our program, you know.
Right.
And our program might be something where we send you, you know, new content every week. You know what I mean? If you're if you're part of if you're a part of this even campaign that we got, then you're a part of our program. So it kind of does what social media would do, but it just makes it more direct.
It takes you out of the algorithm. You're not
Yes.
hoping people see your stuff. Now that I have your contacts, you have my music. We have a place to build where I can direct. It was a DIY, direct to consumer. You can go directly to the person. Hey, I got a new song that's dropping today. I have a new song that's out right now. Or I just want to check in on you. Happy birthday. I can really build with folks, and that's what you want. You want a deeper relationship than just superficial wide.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? I think that's the only way the independent artist that's not signed, that's really doing it off the muscle, is the relationships are super duper important. You
Big
know what I
time.
mean? You get in when you're starting out, people like you more than they like what you do because they know more about you. They've spent more time with you than your podcast, your new song. You know what I mean? So I think it's smart to leverage those relationships because you have something quality. They just don't know it yet. So you just chip away until they see it for what it is, the way that you want them to see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, of
Come on.
course. I think that's like one of the biggest things for artists is to create that community or that fan base. I feel like that's so important. And I know so many people put so much stock into social media, like a Instagram or a TikTok. But for me, I'm just like, that's not the only place to focus. I feel like there's other things that artists could do to really build their fan base that will turn into them getting actually paid for their music. So I definitely agree on that. But then also too, like, why do you think that so many artists like put so much value on a place like Spotify that doesn't really pay artists that much?
Fame, the fame bug. We fake it till we. I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but I'll say this. I feel like we're all fed something that's very superficial, right? We got into the streaming thing, millions of people watching you, and you're like, oh, that's great. I got 100,000 views, right? And the strategy is if you don't know how to convert those 100,000 views to something tangible, then it's really just smoke and mirrors. If I told you that 40 people buying a song, buying a project on Even made me more than 100,000 views, you wouldn't think it doesn't make sense. But that's the reality. You know what I'm saying? But the clout machine, if you will, and I get off the soapbox. I don't want to sound like I'm anti
No,
this
no,
is
no. This is no.
that.
It's good because it's real.
You know what I mean? But that's the part that people that might not be sexy, it might not be as attractive. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Mhm.
but you know, I don't know. I almost got lost in my thought because I get passionate talking about this stuff. You know, but that's an interesting. It's an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's almost like, all right, I'll give you this scenario. So
Okay. So,
now because we're big fans and we see the value of Drew Hill and we know we're gonna be a part of that show now, no matter what the politics is. We ain't thinking about the politics no more. We just want to be a part of that show.
mm,
So, just like with Spotify, we don't think about the politics no more because we
bring it
want to
home.
be a part of that show. So we want to be a part of the Spotify show so we can say it. You know, if I say it to someone, I say, hey, I'm on Spotify, just me saying that, it creates value on their end more than mine. You know, behind the desk work. Behind the desk
Mm-hmm.
work, it's not as beneficial for me on Spotify as it is for me on Even. But for me to say I'm on Even, for their ears, it doesn't create value. It's only when you say Spotify. It's only when you say Apple Music. It's only when you say Pandora. Like when you say these things, they're like, okay, you on there? Cool. I listen to all my favorite artists on there. You know what I mean? But behind the desk work, like folks is not making they're not making the profit there, But there's a positive thing with Spotify and all of these things that I find in there is the data. So if you do have 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 streams, you can at least use that data for, okay, I know that I have 2,000 people in New York in this specific city who listens to my music. So if I was to put together a tour, if I was to put together a listening party, if I was to put together a meet and greet, I know I can do it there because I got a data sheet that I can actually use, and that's what the benefit I think with Spotify, Apple Music, and these things like that. They do give you data sheets. So, it may not be where you financially getting the most money, but you're
Right.
able to use it for other things. That's positive.
Ability.
Shout
You can
shout out to
scale.
Spotify and them for that. Shout out to
Yeah.
all of them for that.
Yeah. What you want is scalability. You know what I mean? It's not to me, and this might be deep dive, intricate, but this is the real mind of it. You want scalability. If I can turn one into two, you know what I mean, two into four, you know what I mean, then I'm going in the right direction. What you don't want is empty calories where you just see a whole bunch of numbers that you can't do nothing with. You know what I mean? Because until you convert those people into your program or take them off of social media or see them in real life or they buy something physical, the only thing you did was made money for that platform. You know what I mean? You might do the big show, but if you paying to be the opener, all you did was you feel me? And I know that's not cute, man, but it's real. It happens. You get dolled up, you get all nice, you go and do one of these festivals, right? And you still have to fight for their ears because you can't you can't shortcut the hard work of growing the audience. You can't
Mm,
there are no shortcuts. You have to be strategic, have some finances, and really treat it look at it in that way. You know what I mean? It's music, it's fun, it is fun. Have fun, be amazing, be dope, at the same time be aware and be strategic. That's the only way you're gonna take it from being a independent dude that nobody knows to somebody who's like a LaRussell.
Mm.
Strategy. You know what I mean?
No, that was well said. Both of you guys gave a really good explanation on that, especially when you're talking about like Spotify versus a platform that's going to be better for you overall, and also um, growing your brand, like knowing like who's listening from where, like getting those stats, that data, which is really important. But there's other like I find platforms too, like I don't know if you ever heard about Chartmetric, but it's another platform and you can look up like an artist. So like I do like a bit of like PR, so somebody put me onto that and I could put like the artist in and then it'll give me a whole bunch of information, like data about that artist. I know that's another platform that gives a lot of data on the artist too. So yeah. I know I don't have that much time left, but I just wanted to quickly ask you guys also another question about being independent, which is building your team. A lot of artists, have questions about building their team, finding the right people in their team as well. So, are you guys self-managed? Do you have a manager, PR person, lawyers, all that stuff? Is that something you have, something you're still finding?
Still finding. Still
looking.
in my experience, I feel like, again, value, right? Everything starts from a place of value. So it's hard. The hardest time to show value is when it's just in the idea phase. So the what I'm noticing is that initial work is the hardest work because you have to do most of the work yourself until somebody can see it and say, you know what, I see not just what you think, but I see what you're doing. So we grind. We really are grinding, doing as much as we can at the highest level until we can draw more attention in those other spaces. You know what I mean? Because it's about value.
No, definitely. So no, that's well said too. So then for the Soul Movement Krew, like what can fans be on the lookout for? What's coming up?
I would say
Mm.
for the fans that are interested in what we have going on, we do an email drop every week. We do a text message drop every week. We do content. Just follow our page on Instagram, because that's where we add everyone's content together and have that consistent flow. As far as right now, the biggest thing is our visualizers. We're working on just more visuals, more content, because we have all this work that we need to get out so people can recognize it is for what it is. You know what I mean? But I would just say tap in with us, Soul Movement Krew on Instagram. As far as socials, and you can check out. We have individual YouTubes on_key. Check out my brother's Instagram, YouTube page, Curt the Mighty Quinn, and collectively you'll find most of our things as Soul SOUL Movement Krew with a Krew. So Soul Movement Krew. We would love to see you guys there. We always giving free music, and there's a lot of stuff going on.
Amazing. Well, I want to thank both of you for taking time out of your day to speak with me. I learned so much about you guys individually. Also, I learned a lot about the industry from you two being independent artists, which is really important. So thank you so much for this. I mean, I could talk to you guys all day. I have so many other questions, so we would definitely have to do this again. But I do appreciate this, and I hope people are discovering you and will follow you guys on socials, but also tap into the music and support you there as well.
God bless you. I thank you for having us.
No, of course. And this is the Total R&B Podcast. My name is Loreena. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at total.rnb. And I will be back with a brand new interview.